the age of 20, I had an idea for a computer game business. So I wrote to Prince Charles. He had a foundation, the Prince's Trust, to help young people start businesses. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a try. And to my shock, they replied. And so they lent me £2,500, interest-free. And I started my computer game business. And it became, in the next 5 years, the biggest direct selling computer game business in the whole of Europe. We ended up being the first .com business on the London Stock Exchange. It actually went up to a valuation of $1 billion at its height. So I had a Ferrari, Porsche, I used to go to work by helicopter, used to fly around by private jet. Everything you could dream of at the age of 25. And I suddenly realized everything I was building my life on, it was just greed, it was just selfishness, and it just suddenly felt so wrong. I was not doing anything good. And here I was sitting on top of the world. My first business was all about greed and selfishness, and it left me feeling empty. And I started to realize when I was very rich, there's this difference between pleasure and happiness. No matter what you own, no matter what you buy, after a while you get bored of it and you just want something else. Pleasure always has a price tag, but it's like a fire that needs constant fuel. But happiness comes from your relationships, and especially knowing that you're fulfilling God's purpose with your life. And that's why I got on my knees and started to pray, God, why am I rich? Why did you bless me? When my grandmother passed away, I started to realize the path I was on was a path to nothing. And I just thank God that I learned that at a young age, and I could transform, I could change. I went around the world for 6 months trying to find something I could do to help. And then a friend of mine from the Philippines told me about this thing in the Philippines called GK, this organization that was building houses for the poor, transforming them. And what I saw blew my mind. It was the first time I'd visited places that used to be slums, but they were now beautiful, peaceful communities.
And then the girl said, well, for 50,000 pesos, which is like less than $1,000, you could build a house. My dad brought him to the community. He wanted to donate, but my dad said, I don't want to take your money, come back so that you can see more.
And his answer changed my life. He said, hey, if you want to help, don't just send your money. Why don't you come back? You helped to build those houses. So I came and stayed in the Philippines. I thought, okay, after 6 weeks, I'll stay for 6 months. After 6 months, I said, okay, I'll stay for 7 years. I ended up falling in love, getting married, and so I'll probably never leave, but this is definitely where God called me. My wife came up with the idea of this company called Human Nature. We were having kids, we had 2 kids, and she wanted to use safe, natural products for our babies. So she and her sister, they had this idea for a natural products company. And they were asking me to join them. So I thought, okay, I'll pray. I don't think God wants me to stop building houses for the poor to make lipstick. But to my shock, when I started to pray and really open myself, I did feel God calling me to do this with them.
Human Nature is a natural products company wherein we try to deliver products to people at affordable prices that will make sure that there is no harm that will come to their families. We believe that work is mission and a vocation, and we want to be able to promote fullness of life for all of our employees and the people that we interact with.
There are millions and millions of dollars of philanthropic capital that go into the country every year. And what happens is when the philanthropic capital is depleted, then what? And so the opportunity for business is really that, like, how do we create change in a sustainable way and allow the locals, right, to be empowered to help themselves. And that's what business can do.
And we started to get, some ideas of how business is done. When you look at how countries are built, business is even more powerful than government in terms of getting people out of poverty. Businesses have more money, they employ more people,
So if my kids are in school, if I have a roof over my head, if I'm able to enjoy weekends with my children, I want every Filipino to have that kind of life. But it's really that fullness of life where you're able to have time for relationships and not be consumed by work all the time because you're just on survival mode, which is what most Filipinos have to go through every single day. It's a real grind, especially if you're just a blue-collar worker, a minimum wage earner in the Philippines. And through human nature, we hope that there is that experience of God's abundance and love in the way that He defines it for us here on earth.
We started with some policies. The first policy that we had was we won't pay the minimum wage because the minimum wage is not enough. So today we pay almost double the minimum wage in the Philippines to everybody, to the cleaners, the messengers, the factory workers, the warehouse people.
And then during the pandemic, I mean, if we were going to zero in on one of the most challenging times, it was really that time because a lot of sales were like just really dropping, and then we had to put everyone on stipend, including ourselves, just enough. So many other companies laid off like 20%, 30% of their staff. But what we did was we cut our salaries by that much or even more so that we could get everyone through the pandemic, because we made that decision not to let go of anyone. So it was so hard, but again, God just showed up during our most desperate times when we didn't think we could make the next payroll. All of a sudden there's this huge surge in sales because of a TikTok video that went viral, and that was able to tide us over for another 2-3 months.
Another policy that we have that every business person I speak to thinks is a bad idea is we have this no firing policy. Most of our employees are from the poor. All their lives they've been told, you're nothing, you're useless, you're disposable. And they believe that. So when we say to them, you're family to us now, you might make mistakes in your work, but we will not give up on you. That can be life-changing for a lot of our employees, and it has been. It began because I think our company was only 2 or 3 years old, and we found out one of our very trusted employees was stealing from us. And when we found out, I was so horrified and actually, to be honest, really so furious. And I was just praying, Lord, what do I do? And the one word that kept coming to me was, forgive. And I thought, what do you mean, Lord? That's it? He's just going to get away with it? He's not going to change? What good is this? But it was so clear to me, forgive, 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 forgive. So I brought him in, and I sat him down, and I said to him, I've made a decision. I'm not going to give up on you. But I want you to explain, why did you do this to us? He looked at me and he started to cry. He jumped up and he ran out of the room. He came back a few days later and wanted to see me, and he sat down and he confessed to me. He said all his life he'd been stealing since being a teenager. Every job he would ever get, he would steal because he would think, okay, I've got this job, who knows for how long, I'll get what I can. And every time he'd get caught, he'd be fired, he'd think I got my punishment, then he'd move on and do it somewhere else. And he said his whole life, he was now in his 50s, he'd been doing this. And when he got home that night after talking to me, he couldn't look himself in the mirror. He couldn't tell his wife at first what had happened. And he was just asking himself, why did I do this to these people? He's still with us. Long story short, we don't let him touch the money anymore. We retrained him. He cleans air cons and things like that, which are important to us. And he's now a happy guy. He used to be a grumpy person before. He's very helpful. And that's one less thief in the world. And so from a business point of view, it makes no sense when people mess up. From the point of view of the company, employers want to get rid of them. And I have that human instinct as well. I don't want to help people when they do things like that, when they steal. But God says, no. You help them, you love them, you find a way to transform them. And it's now one of the policies that I'm happiest about, because I've seen a lot of people transform through this no firing policy. And this is what Jesus does to us, right? It's that point when we're at our lowest and we realize God will forgive us anyway. He still loves us anyway. That's what really transforms us and brings us to Him. So we're doing this in the workplace. And I believe God wants business people to be good shepherds. We're not just here to make money and give some to charity. He wants us to be shepherds of those people in our company.
Grace and forgiveness are one of the most powerful tools in HR, because the usual practice has always been when people do something wrong or when people do not meet expectations, you fire them. It is powerful because when people realize that they are really loved and valued where they work, or at least here in our company in Human Nature, they don't treat this as just work. I mean, the work that they do is not just work. Ultimately, the faith that we talk about at work is more than just something, it's one of the listed values of the company. They also get to experience who the Lord is and His love at work, and which leads them eventually to want to have a relationship with Him too.
Reflecting on my life as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a wife, it all boils down to stewardship and really asking the Lord every single day, what purpose do I serve for you today? I always tell myself, it's not about me. It's not about me, solving the world's problems, because it's always God who makes those decisions. And it's a privilege for me to be part of that work.
There's already a desire in many entrepreneurs' hearts to honor God, but they've not been trained how to do it. And so thankfully, because of the years of that, the foundation of faith that's been passed on from generation to generation, there is a desire amongst the people to honor God. And we have a chance now as capacity builders and investors to show and just help equip and empower them to discern how to do that.
I used to love money, and so I used people to get more money. And that's been reversed. I've learned to love people and use money instead. And that only happened because I went through that transformation in my relationship with God. And to all the business people out there, don't be afraid to love your people. Yes, there will be times when you feel like maybe you're being crucified because of that. Times when you feel like your business could be doing much better, and maybe that's true. But we're not called to be rich. We're called to be loving. We're called to love.